Hi, this is Cheryl back with you from Farmhouse, Frugally, and we did it. Today is day 12 of the 12 days of Christmas, one of my favorite, and it is Christmas bells. So we are starting with one of these glass light domes. I got a couple on the good table at my dump, and I wanted to make a bell. So I decided to just do one for you today. I took it outside and I sprayed it inside and out with some white spray paint, letting it be a little bit speckled, hoping that you could see some light shine through. And then I took one of the clock finials that my husband had given me, and I just took some antiquing wax and made the top of that the color that I wanted it to be, leaving the base clear wood so that I would be able to glue this on to the dome. I found a nice gold large little rattle bell in my stash and some gold ribbon, and I threaded that through and attached it to the finial, put it through the hole in the glass, and glued the two pieces together. Now, I used the hot glue just to attach the ribbon to the wood, which would work fine. But when I attached the wood to the glass, I used the tight bond quick and thick because I wanted to make sure that this is something that is going to hold up and not just come right off. I know hot glue and glass definitely do not mix. It wouldn't have lasted longer than a couple of days. And that was completely dry the next day. So once that was done, I went to the Ocean State job lots near me a couple weeks ago, and I had picked up a little pack of a silver and a gold marker that are like a paint marker. And if you have one near you, definitely pick these up. They were cheap. I can't remember. I feel like $2, and it was well worth it. I haven't used the silver one yet. I have used the gold a number of times, and it is crisp and clear, and it definitely works really, really well. So I just took that and I outlined the pieces and the parts on the wood as well as the base of the glass dome in order to pop some of this to be gold. You can add as much or as little of that as you desire. I desired to go a little bit heavy on the gold because I had a few gold pieces in my display this time around. And I also had used that little gold bell on the center. Now I had in my stash some gold stars on twine that I have no recollection of where they came from, but some item I pulled them off once upon a time. Never throw anything away, I tell you. And I also had a gold key, so I just strung some of those things together and tied them with twine on the top of the finial. Now, obviously, if you don't have this, you could use whatever you do have in your stash. And also you could use the silver pin and a silver ball and some other silver items as well. That would be really cute. You could add some red berries. There's just so many ways you could go with this depending on the style of your home. Now, couple things. First of all, again, this is day 12 of the 12 Days of Christmas, hosted by Brenda and Krista. Their channels as well as the playlist are going to be in my description box. Make sure you check that out. And also, if you have 10 minutes, would you please go to a video I posted this week during the 12 Days of Christmas on another collab, because it is not getting any love. And it is a furniture flip that I worked my tail off for. I really like the way it came out, and I hope that you will too. So if you have a minute, I'd appreciate it. Thanks so much. This next one is my favorite. I have these little peat pots that you can get for gardening, and they're cheap, cheap, cheap. I think on Amazon or probably even at Walmart, and I had a bunch in my stash, and I have been wanting to make some bells out of them, but I couldn't think about what to do to make a little hanger on the top, and then it occurred to me, just cut one of them. They're already circular, and wrap it around my finger and glue it to the top, and voila, there I am. A bell. I love the texture already on the outside of these peat pots, so I thought that these would be great. They look like once, they're sprayed, they're going to have the right texture and everything. So my husband had a bunch of metallic spray paints, and so I found one that had a bronzy copper color to it and took them outside. I had to put them on top of a little glass or something to keep them weighed down. Otherwise, I would have sprayed them right off the table. Because this is pretty powerful. But it went on beautifully, and it covered, in like one coat, really. And then I flipped them in upside down and kind of held it in my hand. You can just wear a glove for that, and then just spray the interior if you want the interior done, which I did. And I think already they look amazing, but just to give this just a little bit more, I took some of the dark antiquing wax mixed with clear, and you can just add a little black paint to clear. It does the same thing. On a brush and brushed into those crevices to have that color pop and to make these look a lot older. I absolutely love the way this looks. I did not put a clanger in it because it's cardboard and it's not going to make any noise anyway. But I did have one of these greenery things in my stash. I bought a whole bucket of them, and I think it was like $2 for like 10 of them or something. And so then I decided to take some grapevine wreath that I had in my stash and just kind of twist the two together to give it a little bit of interest. It already had some pine cones on it, so this was like a garland, and it's looking great. But I wanted to hang it from the top, and to cover the stuff that I twined it together with. So I just wanted to add a bow, and that also gives it some Christmas interest. And so once I did that, I took some twine, 3 different lengths, added that underneath it, and then tied each of the bells on at different lengths. And this is my favorite. I love the way that this looks, and I love the way that it looks in my living room on my grandfather's clock. I think this is the perfect place for it, next to my mantle. So you will have to let me know what you think. Also, drop me a comment. Let me know, do you have any of those glass light domes accessible to you? I think they're like $1 at the thrift shops, but if you have one that you could create one out of, or if you have some of these peat pots, let me know if you plan to recreate any of these. Now, the third one is very, very simple. I happen to have one of these little rattle bells, I'm not really sure what they're called, in my stash. In fact, that's where I got the bow for the second item. And I think I had attached it outside to one of those green garlands wrapped on my deck railings in the front of my house. And so I decided that this would be great to sort of deconstruct and do something else with to class it up just a little bit. So I took all that stuff off and took that same gold paint pen, and I am just going to highlight the ring around the center of the bell, and then I am going to go around each of the little keyhole designs, and then I'm going to come back and do a little bit more on the center, which I will zip through and not make you watch. And then once I had that done and pulled off the little green part at the top that I was holding on to, I took some really pretty Christmas ribbon that I had in my stash from last year that had a touch of gold in it. I don't usually use a lot of gold, so it's funny to me this year that I'm pulling out all the gold pieces because I'm pretty much silver for the most part. And I made a bow. Now, I'm assuming you know how to make a bow, but I know some people do not. So the key to making a bow when you are using wired ribbon is make a loop, twist, make a loop, twist, make a loop, twist. The third loop, personally, I like to make smaller, or sometimes the fifth loop, to give myself one of those little front, what they call like a finger bow. So you have just a smaller piece in the front. I'm actually doing it on the 5th one here, and then leave some tails. But as long as you twist after each one and then run your wire through, it's pretty much a figure eight, a figure eight, a figure eight. So there's nothing complicated about making a bow. Just keep twisting. Holding it all in one hand is the most complicated thing, and you get really good at that after you've made a few. Then fluff it, add it, clip the ends if you want the ends clipped, and you're done. Then after I clipped the edges, I just went ahead and added that right onto the little part on the top of the bell that was for hanging. And then I took a little piece of a gold ribbon, a small thin ribbon, to make a hanger. And then once that was finished, I decided instead of hanging it from that, I actually wanted to add some of the golden bells that I added to the first project, a little clangy thing. And this is absolutely so simple. It could be an ornament if you add a hanger to it. It could hang from a garland or from, something else. It could be a little gift, anything that you want. I like it on the bed spring. So I just tucked it there to give it a little bit of a different look, but that is completely up to you how you want to display it. But I want to thank you so much for joining me. If you were here all 12 days, put a 12 in the comments because you rock.